All right, so I'm going to jump into the portfolio we built earlier this week. I think it was Monday, Tuesday. Yes, I think it was yesterday, whenever we built it. Let's jump into it and check on it. We opened up. All right, well, let's start by logging into our Thinkorswim, and we're making sure we're on paper trading, and we're going to open up the platform. So let's give it a second. We are on, it says margin, so I don't want to unmargin. We're going to go back to where we was yesterday. And as you recall, yesterday we opened up one share of VTI. And so on the day, yesterday, that one share made $8.09. So between what it did yesterday and on the open of what it did today, we are up $9.76 from yesterday when we opened up this share. Made me wish I should have did those three, but all right. So what we're going to do is, let me start by moving over this, and I'm going to close the option chain because I don't want you to be distracted by the options. The goal is to do enough repetition of us going in, buying and selling shares if we need to, or we decide to, and doing it together so you can get more comfortable with navigating Thinkorswim in the paper account. Once again, this is a paper account. This is not real money. We're going to open up and build a portfolio together, and we're going to track it, add to it, and just do the do over the course of either 6 months or a year. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to think about it as 6 months and we'll see how it goes. So VTI, we opened up those two shares. So now this is why I taught you TradingView. I'm going to go into TradingView and let's open up a screen over here. And I'm going to look at VTI to see what VTI is looking like. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is go into here. We're going to bring in my normal charting that I like. And all right, so this is what happened yesterday. This would have been Monday. This is Tuesday. So this is all day Tuesday. So we bought VTI probably around 320. I think it was 320, right around here is where we bought VTI. And so over the day, we did probably a break and a, this looks like a break and a retest. All right. And then price went up. And then the president made the announcement overnight. Oh, actually, let me put on the trading hours. Under symbol, we're going to go extended trading hours so we can see exactly what happened. All right, so what, this is the short and the long of it. So this would have been all day Tuesday. We bought one share around here. It looked like I did a break and retest just by the way it's arcing here. All right, and then you can see price took off. And then the president made that announcement last night that, hey, I'm not going to bomb Iran after all. Is what he pretty much did. We're going to give him 2 weeks. And then investors got really excited. And they, in the post market, this was last night after the market closed, they bought a lot of VTI and brought it up to 333 a share. And then it opened and it went up. This is kind of what it did. Let's add some pre-market high, pre-market low. And this is where I'm glad that we did the TradingView stuff so you don't feel so lost. So we're going to do a pre-market low. So during the pre-market hours, price was about here on the low. And then we're going to add another line. And we're going to do pre-market high. And price in the pre-market, that's this area in the orange between 4 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. This is what VTI did. And then it looks like we did a little bit of a sell-off when the market opened. And now it's going back up again. So, I think buying it around here would be okay. If you look at pre-market low and high, where it's currently trading, how much time we got left? 2 minutes on that candle. We're on the 15-minute time frame. All right, so, basically, I would be comfortable with something in this area. Because even if it goes up a little bit, it's still within the pre-market high, and it's trading low enough in the morning, what it did with this morning. It would have been better to get it down here. It would have been cheaper, but we're not there. We got to move on. So where we're at now, I'm comfortable adding some more VTI. Why? Because one, VTI is a total market index fund, which gives us instant diversification, broad market exposure, and it's the way to grow wealth where you don't have to actively be trading and doing too much, but it will, on average, give you between 8 and 10% return on the year owning it. Plus, if we add to it throughout the year as well, it'll grow even faster. So here we are. So looking at it on my chart and what the volume is down here, this is the amount of people buying and selling it right now. I mean, I'd be okay somewhere in this range, especially in this mid range of 334 to 333. All right, so let's minimize that and go back into VTI. So it's currently trading at 333.77, which is I'm comfortable there. So let's try going in here, and we're going to add VTI. Typically, this is what I'm thinking for the portfolio. 50% of the portfolio is going to be a combination of a total market index fund, VTI, an ETF dividend fund, SCHD, and cash to be 50% of the portfolio. The other 50% of the portfolio, we can use fan favorites. If there's an asset you really do want to own a part of the company, and you really do like them for the long term. Remembering what we talked about earlier, one of the areas of my current portfolio that I would have done differently if I could look back is I probably wouldn't have it be so tech heavy. What I'm currently trading, we're going to replicate that here, but we're going to add a little bit more flexibility and diversification in with the fan favorites. So currently I'm using AMD, Meta, SoFi, and Celsius H was my attempt to start diversifying my portfolio. So let's start by, if we have $4,676.20 left of stock buying power, then we know we want to keep at least a certain amount of that. Let me think. Let me pull up a calculator. All right, so what I'm thinking, this is just, and this is subject to change, but all right, so 50% of 4676.20 is going to be loosely that much in fan favorites, and then that much in VTI, SCHD, and cash. That's what I'm thinking for now. That's typically how I do my portfolios. So we got $2,338, and we don't need to do everything today. You watch price. I know for sure I want to put in VTI and SCHD. And if you want, you can go in the comments section. And if there's a ticker you want to trade, maybe we can add that to the portfolio if we get enough people interested in that ticker. I'm probably going to add AMD because I really do believe in AMD and SoFi. Meta, maybe we'll leave Meta off of this one. I'm not sure. Or we'll do a smaller position of Meta. Anytime you have 10% of your capital locked up into a trade or a position, a ticker, an asset, you got a position. You got an official position. And sometimes what I'll do is find companies I'm looking at but not sure about, and I might buy a small portion of them. Like I might buy $10 or $25 worth of it and watch it over a couple of weeks. But because we're paper trading, I'm not sure we can do that in here. So we're going to have to modify that a little bit. So VTI, we put $323.80 in. So if we do, let's say cash, let's at least do 20%. Well, we know to keep in cash. I always keep cash in a portfolio because an opportunity could open up that I really want to jump on, and I need to have cash that's ready to deploy at any time. So we have 4,676, and half of that is 2338, and we're going to use maybe one rule of thumb is 30% or less should be cash. Don't go over 30% just sitting there because it's not making money. So let's take 30% of this. No, let's take 20. I'm going to use 20 just to give me an idea. So we can do $584.52 that we don't touch. It's just going to have to be there as cash. Now I got to put a notation somewhere. So let me go into notes real quick and let me organize a new note. And we're going to make a note to ourselves. You can put it wherever. I'd probably better off with a notebook, but because we're doing this as a class, I want to make some class notes of what we said we was going to do. So we started off with 5,000. Half of 5,000 is going to be, let's see, 23.38. I guess that's 10. Is that 10 cents? Why does it say 0.1? I'll look at it later. Just give us an idea. All right, so that's going to be, oops, let's make a note. So half is going to be, this is going to be a combination of SCHD, actually VTI, SCHD. And if you want to look these up online, go on YouTube, watch some tutorials about VTI, SCHDs, just so you get an idea. One thing about companies you invest in is you always want to know a little bit about your ticker. You want to know a 52-week high, a 52-week low is always useful. Why other people like it? Find out why people don't like it. It's always good to know both sides of the story so you go in with a clear, balanced approach. I may not act on all the information, but at least I'm aware of what it is and why people like SCHD. As a matter of fact, while I'm in here and we're doing this together, I want to look at SCHD's top 10 holdings. All right, so this is currently what SCHD is holding, and it's 40% of the portfolio. They have Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Merck, Coca-Cola, Verizon, Texas Instruments, Pepsi, and United Healthcare. Now, these are 10 tickers that actually pay dividends, and you buy, SCHD is us buying into the fund that has a basket of dividend stocks that give dividends. So when they pay out dividends, SCHD gets a portion of that, and you can use that either as income or you can use it to build your portfolio position. So currently, I'm set to drip my assets, which means when they give out dividends, I don't get it as income. Like when you get interest on your bank statement, you know, they say, okay, you got $8 of interest or whatever. They take that interest and they reinvest it into the asset to buy more stock. Until I'm ready to start drawing income from it, we're going to grow it. And so that's the idea behind that. If you look at more items, and whatever broker you use, you can set these up in your watch list. All right, so we're looking at SCHD. This is how it's been trading. This is what it's been doing. This is how it's performed overall. The entire lifetime of this, which would have been around 2011, this is how SCHD has performed up until now. Just these are the basic things as an investor I like to know. And this is on Robinhood, but you can use this anywhere. So we can see it's been on an uptrend. It's making higher highs and higher lows. These are the sectors it invests in. Consumer defensive is 19.54. 18% is healthcare. We got technology representation, energy, financial service, industrials, communications, and consumer cyclical, and utilities. And so this is what SCHD has in its basket, that when you buy a share of SCHD, this is what you get access to. So if you want to know what all the companies are, it's got Abbott, it's got a bunch of companies, and it's much less expensive to build out SCHD and have access to all the dividend income versus trying to build out the positions individually, which there's pros and cons to both. You might really want to own like Coca-Cola or Chevron or Verizon. You might really want that asset, but that's why I have the fan favorites, because you can add assets by themselves. But I do get the dividend exposure on this one because it's part of my core position. It's going to be part of our core position. So the 52-week low was $23. The 52-week today, where's my high? Oh, right here. The high is $31.95. So this just gives me an idea over the past year how this particular asset has traded. The cheapest you could have got it was $23.87. The most you could have paid for it was $32. So here we are at $30.67, give or take. It's around the 52-week high because it's been going up. And so I definitely say know all you can within reason about a ticker and how it's performed, how it does returns over a period of time. 1 year, over 3 years, over 5 years, over 10 years, it's been up 12%. And since its inception, it's been up 12.99%. So if you think about the interest you get on a high yield savings account or your own bank account, these are things to think about. And this is about growing the money. But I like the dividend income because right now we're growing out SCHD. But when you're ready to retire, you can have enough SCHD to turn off the drip. And then when the dividend income comes out quarterly, you can use that as income in retirement. So you're really building out an asset that's going to be working harder for you. You work hard for your money. Now it's time for your money to work hard for you. So that's my psychology behind SCHD. That is why we are adding SCHD because it does have such a broad exposure base. We don't have to develop and build these out individually. We just buy into this one fund and we get access to that dividend income every quarter. All right, so now we're done with that. So we want VTI, Total Market Index Fund. We have already discussed that, why we like the broad market diversification and the fact that VTI has performed 8 to 10% on average. And we used 8% to calculate our earnings and what we expect to receive as a return on VTI. And we used the compounding calculator yesterday. So if you haven't seen that video, you can go back and check it out about the power of compounding. And we used VTI after we bought it. And so we want VTI, SCHD, and cash to be 50% of the portfolio is what I'm thinking. And then the other half we will use for the fan favorites. Now, my fan favorites are going to be AMD. I love AMD for a lot of reasons. And SoFi. I want some SoFi. The rest of it, we're going to be flexible. And the rest of it, we do not need to add it today. We're going to look at the charts, see what the charts are giving, where the price is reacting, and try to find a decent entry place. Because your entry is important because you want to make money and you don't want to buy it. Let me close this out. We don't want to necessarily buy it. Let's deal with VTI first. So it's around 330, 390. So what we can do is click on VTI, buy, and let's grab, I need my calculator back. We said how much? 23.30. That's going to be cash. Did I put that in the notes? That's why I needed that. Oh, so much be going on. All right, so we will say around 584.52. We always want to keep as cash, at least for now. Now, if we set up the portfolio and it's all invested and all we have is $584 and there's a great opportunity, then clearly we're not going to be at 584 no more. But what this does is it gives us amount of cash that we keep in the portfolio that if a great opportunity presents itself, we're positioned to deploy some capital to buy it. So this is loosely translated what I'm thinking for this portfolio. So if VTI, SCHD, and cash. All right, so 584 of that's going to be cash. So let me subtract the cash from 2338. So that's going to leave us around $1,753 between VTI and SCHD. Then you start to have to think about, well, do I want it to be 50% VTI, 50% SCHD? Not necessarily. I would probably weight VTI a little bit more for now because SCHD is relatively inexpensive to purchase. It's about $30 a share. VTI is around $300, but we also know the return on VTI over the course of a year and how it's performed in relationship to SCHD is it's performed better. So I want to weight the portfolio of VTI. And we have $1,700. So let's just, for the sake of argument, I don't want to say half of this. Let's go, I'm thinking maybe maybe 1200 VTI, 500 SCHD, somewhere around that range. So we don't have to do the whole 1200 today, but we could. What I probably will do is what I usually do, and that's I buy a section of it. So if I know I want to buy about $1,200 of VTI, I'm thinking let's go with, that's about 4 more shares. Okay, so let's do 2 shares now. We're going to use a limit buy. Remember we said limit orders only because we got to lock it. If you leave it like this, what ends up happening is, as you can see, this number is moving, right? It's 333.89, and then it's going to be moving around. That means that's what the current market price is on this asset. And if you just go ahead and leave it like this, actually it probably wouldn't even be a limit order, it'd be a market order. It fluctuates a little bit between this mid and this mid price and these two prices here. It's going to be playing back and forth. So what I'm going to say is if you get down to 333, let's say 85, and we lock it, it will not fill the order unless it goes down to 333.85 or lower. And so we said we would do 2 shares. You hit confirm and send. We're going to buy 2 shares of VTI for $667.70. And that would leave us $4,000. Bearing in the back of my mind that $584, that's going to be cash. And we still need to deploy capital elsewhere. So we said around $1,200. So we're about halfway there. If price keeps going up, I'll probably lock in the rest of it before it goes too high. But price can come down. You just got to pick. You got to just make a choice and stick with it. So let's lock this in and hit send. It will fill the order if it hits 3. What was our limit? Let me go into monitor real quick. And we can look at the working order. That's where it's living till it fills. So we said buy 2 shares of that at 333.85. So it's trading at 333.95. So it's trading 10% more. It's going up. So I have a choice. I'm either going to have to readjust this order so it will fill, or I be patient and wait for it to come down and hope it fills by the end of the day. It's 1 o'clock and the market closes in 3 hours. So for right now, we're just going to let it hang out. If it keeps going up, I'll probably go in and find a price to where the order will fill. But my goal is to get it as inexpensive as possible within reason of it filling soon. All right. So right now it's not in our position because it hasn't filled yet. We still have that 1 share making a little bit of money today. You got this negative buying power. That's because we got those 2 working orders hanging out now. And until they fill and go into the position, they're going to basically block out that amount of capital so you don't spend money. And then it gets filled and then you don't have enough. It's just saying you have $667 less to buy. All right, so let's go into SCHD. We're going to add, it's $30.70. I mean, $30 a share. I'm thinking my private portfolio, I think is running around 28. This is a good price for SCHD. And we said we wanted how much? Let me go back to my notes. So we're saying roughly about $1,200 for VTI-ish. That's going to give me about $500 for SCHD. I really don't do this anymore, where I buy a lot of shares at one price, unless it's at an extremely great valuation. So let's start off with 25 shares for now. So we're going to go ahead, click on here. We're going to buy 25 shares. And that will give us locking it at, what is it currently trading? I'm just going to get it filled. Oh, is that 30? All right, just go. Go, go. And give it a minute to fill. It's okay, there it goes. So it just filled the order for 25 shares at 30.69. Our buy order was for 30.70, so we saved a penny per share. But here we are. And now SCHD is now in position. Let me close this option chain right here. You can go into the monitor tab, and now you can see your two positions are here. Here's VTI. We're still waiting for VTI to fill at that price. So we only have the one share still. And then we have 25 shares of SCHD. And these are two that I don't jump in, jump out of. They are part of our core position because they are going to grow over time and give dividends. And we just want these assets to grow so we will weather the storm, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows. And I don't touch these no matter what. Now we have $584 of cash we could use, and we have some fan favorites. So let's look at AMD. Oh, I gotta go into trade. AMD, advanced micro tickers. Let's look at AMD's chart. Let's go into trading view. Let's go to AMD, and let's look how AMD has been behaving since yesterday. All right, so this is AMD. All right, so this is basically last night. The president made that crazy comment about Iran and the reprieve. It went up. In the pre-market, this was its range. And then the market opened, and it kind of ranged a little bit, didn't do too much. And then now you can see price action is at the pre-market high, which is what we talked about. Oh, our order just filled. All right, so price action is at the pre-market high, which was where it was here. So you can see it's finding resistance here. Break and retest. It's a break and retest. And it's kind of stuck. It's like a balloon that's bouncing off of this market structure right here, which is the pre-market high. And that's how it's behaving right now. So if it does not break out, we can expect for AMD to come back down if the sellers step in and start selling it from here. We don't know, but this is what we're looking at. So how much of it do I want to buy? I want to at least open the position, keeping in mind a couple of things we talked about in the earlier videos. What do we know about AMD? AMD's all-time high is $266.92. It's currently trading around $233. So that's $33 per share of upside that we're anticipating, because at some point it's supposed to go back to the all-time high. Okay, here we are. But right now the question becomes, where do I buy it? Because I'd rather buy it down here versus up here, because that's more profit. So I mean, I could sit here and stare at it all day, but I know what's basically happening is it's at a level of market structure that it's having a hard time breaking past, which is 233. This is an area where sellers have stepped in before. They've stepped in here, brought the price down, and now they're trying to push it back up, the sellers. And at the moment, it looks like the sellers are trying to step back in and push the price down. But we don't know that because, as we talked about in the earlier video, we know there's 7 minutes and 40 seconds left on this candle before it actually closes. So for all we know, the buyers can push this price past here in the next 7 minutes, and then this becomes a wick. So right now, this is what we got to work with. So I'm just going to go in at 233 a share. Let's jump out of here. Go back over here. Look at AMD, where it's trading. That's where we want to be. And I'm going to buy, what did we say we was doing with AMD? We got 23.38 as part of a fan favorite. So I would say let's just buy 2 shares of it. And it's almost like we'll be taking away from this fan favorite portion of our portfolio. So let's just grab 2. So we're going to grab 2 shares around 233. I'm going to put it at 233 because I think they're fighting right now, and I want to create a limit order for 233. Confirm to send. This is confirming to buy 2 shares of AMD at 233. That would be $466 out the IRA, which we want to make sure that that's right. It's a single account, and we're going to send. Now it's currently trading at 233.09. I'll give it a reasonable amount of time. If it doesn't fill, I may go ahead and nudge it along. But for right now, I'd rather get it. There it goes. So they just filled it at 232.96. We was willing to pay 233 even. So we got it for 4 cents a share cheaper. And that's just kind of how my little brain works. I like a sale, what can I say? So now we have 3 positions open. We have VTI, 3 shares, because the other 2 filled while we was looking at the chart. We have 25 shares of SCHD, just to get us started. And then we have 2 shares of AMD, and how they're performing on the day. So far, between the gains and the potential paper losses, we're up $7.80. On the overall positions, we're up $9.26, and we keep an eye on it. But if it goes negative, we don't bug out. We just let it do what it's going to do. And I don't think I have any pending orders. We have 3 orders we placed, filled orders. That's where you're going to see what you did today. And then tomorrow this won't be here. So we bought the 2 shares of, where are we at? AMD. We bought 2 shares of VTI. We bought 25 shares of SCHD. And ideally, I probably will build it out. But for now, we're just going to let it simmer. You got to let it sit with you for a minute, because you're like, oh my God, we put all that money in there. We're building out a portfolio that now has our core position in place. We can add shares, especially if shares come cheaper. Then I'm apt to add a few more shares. And so when this goes negative, I don't bug. I'm like, all right, we're going to get it cheaper. VTI is actually making us a little bit of money. AMD is down 60 cents on the thing, because now we're down to 232.68. We just let it cook. And then sometimes what I'll do is, because I would be a new person, I would want to know more, but I'm sold on AMD. Oh, SoFi. Well, yeah, we got to do SoFi. SoFi is one we're going to build out as well, because SoFi is currently trading at a great valuation. A couple of weeks ago, SoFi was trading at $32 a share. I've had SoFi in and out of my portfolio, and every time I've had SoFi, I've always made money on SoFi. But now I'm actually liking SoFi a little more for long-term use. And it's currently trading at $16.71. But you will recall, I just told you about 3 weeks ago, SoFi, let's pull up SoFi on a chart so you can see. All right, let's look at SoFi. Let me move this chart over here. And let's look at SoFi. Let's do it daily so we can see it on a day how it's performed. Hello? Oh, we're on the wrong one. No wonder why I'm looking at the wrong one here. There we go. So each one of these candles represents one day. So I want you to see what I was talking about. Let's shrink this down a little bit. All right, so this is SoFi since this all-time high, November 12th. It was at, okay, I said a few weeks ago. 32.73. This was November 12th of 2025. And right here, it was at $29. This would have been January 5th. January 30th, it was at $25. So you can see it's been coming down, but now you have this upside where when this reverses and whatever the market's just generally acting been crazy about, it comes back. And you can see this area has breached up here twice. Once in October, once in November. That's an area where sellers tend to come in and push it down to lock in profits. And then we end up with all this. So this is where we're currently trading, and this is where we're looking to go back to. So for every share we buy, we're looking at what, 17, 27, $15 a share? $15 profit for each share we buy. This is a good place to open up a lot of shares. So eventually I'm probably going to want about 100. But all right, enough of that. So you had a chance to see this, but we don't have to start out with 100 shares today, but let's go buy. If I buy 50 shares, that's going to be about $800. That might, well, that's a fan favorite. All right, let's be a little more conservative because I'm going to have to adjust these numbers if I have to. Let's buy 25 shares of it. We're going to lock it at, what is it? It's at $16.71 a share. I'm just going to make it $16.70 because it's like I like to do it that way. And we're going to go ahead and buy that. That would be $400. Let's do 20. Edit. Let me move this over to 20 shares. I can't really see that good. Oh, goodness me. I know that's what it says. I'm just trying to open up this little gap here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I'm up at the wrong spot, maybe. There we go. Okay, so there's 20 shares. Buy 20 shares of SoFi stock for $16.70 a share. I'm wondering if because I'm thinking I got 100 in my. Let me be a little more conservative for this beginner. I forgot we only got 5,000 in here. So 10. Let's start off with 10. All right, so we filled 10 shares of SoFi, and now we have our positions: VTI, SCHD, AMD, SoFi. All right, so everybody's at least opened, and we're looking at like $2,600 left. 584 of that we're going to keep cash. So we're looking at roughly about 2,000 left that we can invest. But I rarely open up everything all in one day. I'm going to watch price over the next few days. If I happen to know we're looking at some less expensive prices because we're actually in the drawdown, I will reevaluate whether we want to maybe buy another 10 shares at $16. Because at this point now, the game becomes bringing down your cost basis, your price per share. We started at $3.30, but depending on what it does, you can sometimes get prices cheaper. And this will bring your trade price down, your cost base of what each share is going to cost because they use an average. So we're up and running. You have your 4 positions open. The only thing I might add is space for another fan favorite. So if you guys want to vote what the fan favorite can be, it can be any company. But before we agree on the company, we're going to take a list of what you guys have. If you guys come up with companies, it will go through them one by one together and see which one best fits our goal for our portfolio. And in this case, the portfolio has a role. The role of the portfolio is to grow. We want to grow this from 5,000 to whatever it gives us over the course of 6 months or a year. And then we will reevaluate it from there. We're not trying to take the dividends and use them to pay our rent or anything like that. This is a growth account. So we're going to put a pin in it here. It's about 40 minutes long. You kind of see what we did, where to find your things, where to trade them. This deals with the specific asset you're on, but we already have 10 shares of it. So it's showing it's information down here, 10 shares, what you paid, what it's trading at, what the market change is, net liquidity, and then a bid ask, and then what it's making right now. If you want to see all of the positions and you want to go and do this on your own and develop an account and put 5,000 in it and kind of replicate it, the numbers might be a little different to paper trade, but you can make it more like your account. And it's an experiment. It shows you what techniques worked, what doesn't work, and how we shift inside of there. When you go to your monitor tab, just so you know, your working orders are the orders that you put in buys for but haven't filled yet. Your filled orders are orders that were actually filled. Canceled orders, if you decide to cancel an order, for example, you wanted to change the price and you cancel that order to put in a new price, that would have showed up here. And the rest of this is just what it is. Now, if you want to change what you see here, I'm just going to show you where you would do it. And you can change the columns around as well. And I may do that. Actually, I think I have them the way I like them, to be honest. But that's where you would do that. So that's it for now. So our portfolio is officially open. I'm not sure how often I'll check in on it, but anytime I add to it or do something inside of our portfolio, I'm going to hit record so you can see me doing it and we can talk about what I'm doing. So we're up and running. The paper account is officially up and we're good to go. So have a good day and I will talk to you soon. Bye.